Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a Fresh Stories book chat. I am here today with Jordan. Jordan, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jordan Rosenfeld, and I'm the author of three novels, most recently Fallout, and seven books on the craft of writing, the most recent, which is called The Sound of Story, Developing Voice and Tone in Writing. I've been a freelance journalist for over 20 years, do some developmental editing, mom, and a person on earth.
I love that. So, I always like to ask authors when I talk to them, has writing always been part of your journey?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually one of those annoying writers who's been writing since I was like 7.
Me
I
too.
have you might even be able to see some of them. I have a ton of journals behind me that I've been keeping since I was a little girl. So it is I always sort of joke that it's the only thing I'm good at. So yeah, it's always been part of my life.
I love that. So, where did the fiction writing come in?
I think it I was a big reader. So I'm Gen X, right? I always like to be like, I was born before the internet.
Mhm.
And it was like my primary form of entertainment. So I think I wanted to model what I was reading, and fiction was sort of my go-to as a child. And I think that it's really common for children also who come out of difficult childhoods to kind of want to escape into fiction. So I think that was my avenue into, I say escape, but it was a meaningful escape, right?
Yeah.
As a way of making sense of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a comfort, right? I was the
Yeah.
same way. I would read a lot.
Yeah.
So take us through. I would love to hear a little bit about each of the books that you wrote,
Yeah.
the novels, but then also the new one, Fallout, is I know getting a lot of attention. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're sort of called it an eco thriller, which sounds kind of like, what does that mean? And it's really about, I say that, but it's really not just about like climate issues and the environment. It's really about grief. And it actually, the inspiration for the novel was my grief at like, we had a January of drought in California many years ago where it was just like the hills were crispy and yellow, which they don't, not in January. And
Uh-huh.
so I was having like grief feelings about that, coupled with there was a local woman who had a child she was losing to a brain tumor, and those are actually I know this is really depressing, but those were the inspirations for a novel that ended up really being about people sort of looking for, I'm trying to think how it's terrible, you're supposed to be able to do the, like, elevator pitch. It's really a book about people looking at their lives honestly and also standing up for justice. It's really a book about justice, but underneath that, there's a theme of grief and loss and how what we do when we're in that like loss and grief place. Do we just close ourselves up in a comfortable world? Do we help others? Do we stand up for what's right? That's kind of the gist.
Yeah, because all of those feelings are so universal, right? They're all feelings that it really touch any topic and any subject. So what is
Yeah.
Fallout about?
Yeah, I mean, the real thrust is that a journalist gets involved with a group of eco anarchist women whose sole kind of goal is to take down this dirty energy company that has harmed both people they know and the environment. And a tragedy befalls her before she can get as deeply in as possible. So the story starts when she's in this grief state and she makes a very
Mm,
bad choice, bringing another woman in to this Project Nemesis, as they call themselves, and like all of this chaos unfolds. But the real story, yeah, is about trying to bring this man and his company to justice and the
mm.
chaos and danger and drama that unfolds along the way. But,
I don't know
there's
anything
a
about that, Jordan. Nothing, right?
No,
Uh,
it's not at all timely, which is
yeah,
funny because when I wrote it, I was like, "Who's gonna wanna read about these
yeah,
issues?"
yeah. So I'm always fascinated. I love writing fiction too. I
Yeah.
have a million pieces of fiction that I have half written, and for me, it's more rom coms, not as
Yeah.
deep and dark as what you write. But
Yeah.
I do love the idea. For me, it's world building. I love
Yeah.
world building. What do you love about writing
Mm,
fiction?
that's a good question. Well, it's funny you said that because I keep trying to write a cult novel. Like,
Huh,
and in a way, so every book that I've really loved, there's some kind of either secret society or group of people. So I think I'm fascinated. Like it's not world building, but it's
mhm,
like character development and the dark psychology of groups and why people make choices that the rest of us are like,
yeah,
oh, I wouldn't make that choice. And you're like, well, in the right circumstances, maybe you would.
yep,
Um, I think I just love the ability to take everything that is on my mind and that I'm thinking about and kind of transfer it through this process of art and make something out of it rather than just sit around feeling bad about things that are out of my control.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's so true. And I think it goes back to, like, the mythological aspect of, like, storytelling, right? Which is just
Yeah,
that,
totally.
everything has a symbolism for something else, and
Yeah,
when you write especially about things like climate change or, all grief, it
yeah,
touches people's lives in so many ways. So,
yeah.
what are your other 2 novels about? I'm so curious.
Um I really feel like all my books really fall into this area where I kind of call it psychological suspense. So
Okay.
the novel that's closest to my heart and in another way is called Forged in Grace, and it's about a burn survivor who was with her best friend the night she was burned, and then the friend literally moved away while she was in treatment and recovering, and she doesn't really remember what happened the night of the fire. So they reconnect 15 years later, and then she goes with her to Las Vegas where she lives. Like her whole world, and she discovers she has a healing power. It sounds
Oh,
crazy, but
that's
no,
cool.
it's not like a metaphysical it's a metaphor. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
I'm not I make a very strong point in the, way that I tell the story that I'm not like I'm very like pro science and pro
Yeah.
Western medicine, it's not like a story about
But
you
people
can
are
heal with
healers.
your mind.
But no, but
Yeah,
I mean, there are such thing as healers and energy that
yeah,
heals, in its way.
absolutely.
I love that. I'm so fascinated by all of these characters that you create and these worlds that you build. Where do they come from? Like, do you just get like all these ideas and they just like download to you?
No, I feel like they're little pieces, like a little mosaic that comes together. Like I said, with I will say with Fortune Grace, the character, not my protagonist Grace, but Marley, who's the kind of wild best friend, she literally like spoke in my ear one day. Like I was sitting looking at a fire in a little writing retreat cabin, and she just but like just in Fallout, Justine, the protagonist, is a journalist and a new mom, and I started it around the time I was those things. But by the time I finished it, there's a second character who's 50, and I was starting to go through perimenopause and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
that character sort of reflects pieces of me.
Uh,
But I think it's like anything. We take the things that interest us and we kind of just gel them together into or we model them after people we
yeah.
know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always curious when I talk to other writers what your process is like. Like, what is your day to day as a writer? Do you
Hmm.
sit down and block time out? Do you just kind of take note? Like, what does it look like for
Yeah.
you?
Well, when I'm working on an active project, so like a novel, I have to write every day and I do it before my day job in the morning. So 1 or 2 hours in the morning is the only way. And I have to just it has to be every day or I'm gonna distract myself. But also after I've been teaching writing craft for over 20 years and I feel like I sort of have internalized some of my own advice finally, but like I feel like it's taken me this long. Where it's
Mhm.
like before I used to have to do like more character studies and plot planning, and now
Right.
I can do a very loose, organic outline and kind of go forward. But yeah, it's and every writer's so different in that way,
So different.
right?
That's why I love talking to them. Like,
Yeah.
what is your process? That's fascinating. If somebody's listening to this and they have an idea for a novel and they don't even know where to get started, what would you say as a
Mm.
teacher and as a writer to them?
If you don't know where honestly, I think everybody should write a novel by just sitting down and writing a novel. Let it be the most raw, weird, strange, bad, whatever term thing. Really, it's you need an interesting character with a problem. That's really it.
Mhm.
Compelling character who has a problem they're trying to solve. And
Love it.
problem can be an exciting problem or a difficult problem. But I
I love
actually
that.
really recommend a book that I've been reading called, I have to say it slowly, A Swim in a Pond in the Rain by George Saunders. And he takes the Russian masters, takes 7 of their short stories and analyzes them page by
Mm,
page. And it's just some of the best writing advice that I've read in a long time
I love that. Can you tell
because
us
it's yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, can you tell us a little bit about your books about
Yeah.
writing? Because you also have a ton of books
Yeah.
about writing.
Yeah, I have 7. Well, I started with book on scene. So basically, I have a book on scene, make a scene, character, which is called writing the intimate character, writing deep scenes, which is my friend Martha and I put plot and scene together. Writer's Guide to Persistence is for like, how to get through the tough times of writing. How to
Mm,
write a page turner is all about tension. Write Free is all about like coming to your writing from, it's more of like a feelings book than a craft book. And my newest book is about voice and tone, but voice is all about kind of character influence manifest at the sentence level. So it's like character plus style. And that one I'm having such a great response when I'm teaching. It's sort of like stuff we all know, but maybe putting it together in a particular way. Writers seem to be resonating because agents and editors are always like, what is voice that tells me,
mhm,
well, what is
mhm.
that? So really picking that apart. Yeah.
I love that. I'm excited to pick up some of those books and take a
Thank
look at them.
you.
Where can people buy all of your books?
Anywhere books are sold, honestly. You
Okay.
can start by going if you wanna go to my website, there are links there on my books page. You can go to I like bookshop.org because they
Mhm.
support independent
Yep.
bookstores. Barnes& and Noble, if you need to shop on Amazon, you can get them all there, but, obviously, I prefer you walk into a hard bookstore, which there are fewer and fewer of.
We have
And my
some, yeah.
website, of course, is jordanrosenfeld.net. Pretty easy to find me.
Yes, and we'll put the links in the show notes. Before you go, Jordan, if
Yeah.
somebody is listening to this and they are a writer and they're just nervous to put their words into the world,
Mm.
what would you say to them?
I would say that there's always somebody out there who needs to hear what you have to say or who will resonate with what you have to say. And you'll
Well,
never know if you don't put it out there.
I love that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jordan, for stopping
Thank
by. We will put
you.
the links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Jordan.